I personally wasn't a topper, getting gold medals, getting scholar awards.
So hey guys, it's an honor to introduce the child prodigy in Stanford. His essays are one of the most beautiful piece of writing I've ever read, and his profile is one of the most impressive I've ever seen from India as well. So hi Shaurya, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Shaurya Sinha and I come from a city in India called Gurgaon. I managed to get into Stanford as an admit in the batch of 2024 and I have gone in for the majors of economics and psychology. So just a little bit background.
So you have pretty much shared your entire journey, how you got into Stanford on your channel. But if you have to describe in one word what was unique in your profile that got you into Stanford, then what would that be?
I think the word I would definitely pick is potential. I think that when a lot of admissions officers are looking at your application, they're trying to judge what this individual will be like at our campus, what this individual will be like as a citizen, as a community member, and they're trying to judge how they can create a community of the most capable individuals in each of their different fields. So I think that with my application, a strong focus I had in my application was disability. And I feel like when Stanford looked at my application, they felt that in the field of disability, this could be an extremely high potential candidate for creating a lot of impact, because at the end of the day each university wants its students to create the most impact because it helps them out as a community, as a brand. So I definitely think that when they looked at my application, the idea of potential and what this person could do in the future would definitely have stood out to them.
Absolutely agree. I read your entire application. I also think the biggest two impact that you have made is probably in entrepreneurship and social impact. And you started your journey from ninth standard. Can you please share how you got an internship opportunity starting in ninth grade? Did you approach yourself, or was it the community or your friend circle helped you get into it?
Right. I definitely think it's a mix of both, because in ninth grade, realistically, there are not too many companies that would be willing to offer you opportunities. I'd say if anybody is trying to, having a LinkedIn account is one of the biggest things you can have, because you need to be creating a network for yourself. You need to be reaching out to people. And once you grow your LinkedIn network to a good and considerable amount of individuals, then you can start cold messaging people. And I definitely think that, combined with a few mutual connects I had with a few of my family members, really helped for me to get an informal internship opportunity. So I think in ninth grade, most of my internship opportunities was shadowing, which means I followed individuals around in the companies because I wasn't allowed to work on too many projects hands-on. But I definitely think even that experience just gave me a lot of insight into a lot of the potential fields I would be interested in getting into in the coming years of high school.
Wow, that's so impressive. I remember my old days in ninth and 10th grade. All I used to do was go to school, come back, and then play cricket, and that was the end of the day. And who inspired you to like start internship in ninth
I
grade?
think it would definitely have to be my family. I think my parents were extremely supportive, and they told me about these colleges, and that they are the first individuals who gave me the information that these universities existed. At the same time, there were a lot of people who were saying Stanford is the most selective university in the world. How do you ever plan on getting into these top tier colleges? Because I personally wasn't a topper. I wasn't an individual who was coming first, getting gold medals, getting scholar awards. And when you hear the tagline of most selective university amongst the top tier universities in the world, you get a little bit intimidated, and you're like, if I'm not academically the best, how can I ever get in? But then you slowly realize that they're looking for more than just a number. They're looking for more than just a statistic. They're looking for an individual who they think can change the world and change the community in a meaningful way. And that's when I started thinking about how I can direct my efforts outside of my classroom, outside of my school, into internship opportunities, into working in the field of disability, into creating my own non-profit. So I think the moment I realized that you have to shift your mindset from a numbers-oriented mindset to an impact-oriented mindset, I definitely took a step up and said, now I really want to try and work towards my goal. Although it was a hard goal, it was a goal I really wanted to achieve for a long period of time.
Wait a second, coming back to your extracurricular, was the research opportunity with MIT professor was also through cold emailing?
Yeah, 100%. So again, I think that every opportunity that I've had, LinkedIn has somehow brought to me. I had a mutual connect with the professor. So someone that had worked in one of my connect circles had contacts with Anjali Shastri. And I also happened to cold mail her after that for an entire year. From 2018 to 19, all I was doing, I would send monthly, two months emails, and you have to make sure you're not bugging them. So make sure that someone who knows her has connected you to the professor, so that they know that you're someone that they can trust through somebody else. And after that, then it becomes, can you persist, can you put in the work and make sure that one of the emails the person will reply to. And if they can reply to one of your emails and they want to talk to you more, then after that I had a Zoom call with my professor, and then after that I said, would it be possible for me to come to MIT for a research internship? And after all of that, I managed to get that one MIT research internship. So I definitely think it's a mixture of having a good network on LinkedIn, which you can build over a period of time, as well as persistence when it comes to just mailing someone and hoping for the best. I definitely think hoping helped me a lot.
Amazing. Moving on with the profile, the first thing that comes across every Indian applying abroad is SAT scores. So did you take any coaching for that?
Right. So I personally took coaching for the ACT and my subject tests and my AP exams. But what I will say is that the number one technique to get a good score on these tests, they are standardized tests. And the idea of a standardized test is that they're trying to just judge your level of competence and ability in a few fields. And since it's a standardized test, you can learn to master the test and sort of crack it. And the idea of cracking it is that after you take a certain number of practice tests, I took about 20-25 practice tests, you sort of understand the pattern of these tests. And the moment you get in the mind of the person who's making the test and the layout of the test, I think it becomes a lot easier to do better. So it's not as much about, rote learning and mugging up concepts, but it's about understanding the test and seeing what's the most efficient way you can try and beat it. And I think the best way to do that is taking as many practice tests you can find. All of them are online. I think 2 websites I'll suggest is Crack ACT, Crack SAT, for whichever one you're doing. Very, very helpful resources, all free. And Khan Academy is another really good free resource that I also used even though I was taking coaching, because the instructors were very, very helpful.
So do you think coaching was helpful, or you think online resources are good enough?
I definitely think coaching is helpful, but it's definitely not a necessity, because it's important to understand that there are a lot of students out there who can't afford the coaching, and I'm aware that I come from a position that can. And having gone through that process, I think if anyone can say that you don't need online coaching or you don't need expensive resources, it would be someone who's gone through it. And I've gone through it, and I can 100% say if you have free online resources you can use, it's definitely good enough to at least take you through ACT, SAT and standardized testing.
So now let's move on with your essays, which are one of the most beautiful pieces of writing I've ever read. So who inspired you to write such beautiful essays? Did you take any training for that as well?
So I don't think I took any training, to be very honest. I think my biggest source of help for essays was college YouTubers. I used to watch as many college YouTubers I could. I used to go to a lot of blogs and read about accepted college essays. What I will say is that it will give you an idea about the kind of ideas you can write about, as well as the language that people use in essays. A big problem in India is that we tend to write in an extremely formal and structured manner. I think with college essays it really breaks that barrier and you can talk about whatever you want to. And another thing I'll say is colleges are aware that everybody does not have the same level of vocabulary. Everyone does not come from the same background. They're not able to articulate themselves that great in English. And even if the level of the language is not as high, I would definitely say if your concept and your idea and your perspective is extremely well thought out, then language should serve as no barrier. And I definitely fully believe in that.
वो सब तो ठीक है, पर आपकी इंग्लिश इतनी अच्छी कैसे है? मतलब like it's you.
पता नहीं. Honestly, I think.
So once you wrote your essay, did you get it checked by anyone, or who were the people? For example, me, I remember that I got first checked by my English teacher in my 10th and 12th grade. Then I sent it over to some of my friends abroad, and that's it.
Yes, I definitely 100% agree with that. A lot of people say, do you need college counselors? And one of the biggest helps that I personally felt was that they reviewed essays. But the thing is, you don't need a college counselor to review your essay. You need someone to review your essay, and someone in a position of authority. That does not have to be someone you pay. I think you did something extremely intelligent, which not a lot of people think about, is showing it to your English teacher. Because if anybody has corrected essays, it is your English teacher. And for someone who doesn't have too many resources, your English teacher is a very good resource for a base level of correction to make sure spellings and punctuation is not off and grammar is not off. A level above that is trying to show your essays to a few students who've gone into these universities. If you know someone, if you know a relative or a cousin in India, we all know someone somehow, and there's someone we know who's gone to the US. Try and show them your essays and try to say, when you went through this process, is this an essay that would be a good topic to write about, would be a good essay to read for a college admissions officer. And another thing I'll say is there are a lot of free essay reviewing tools online. So, I mean, for example, I use Reddit as a platform, and on Reddit there's a subreddit called Applying to College, and there are a few individuals over there who are college counselors who are, they've reviewed hundreds and hundreds of essays, and they're willing to do it for individuals from low income backgrounds, middle income backgrounds for absolutely free. So if you really want to, there are a lot of ways you can get your essays reviewed without paying anything.
So now let's compare the culture at Stanford versus other universities in the US. So as I can say that in like Georgia State University, Georgia Tech, and also like MIT, Harvard, they have like a semester system we all know about. The fall semester from August till December, and spring semester from January till May. How different is it in Stanford and UC Berkeley, because they have kind of like a similar culture?
Right. So UC Berkeley actually also follows the semester system. Out of all of the UCs, I think 8 of them follow the quarter system, and Stanford also follows the quarter system. And what the quarter system is, it basically breaks the academic year into more pieces. The benefit with that is that, for a student like me, one of the reasons a lot of us apply to the United States is because we don't really know exactly what we want to study. Like, I would like to study psychology or economics or maybe computer science in the future, and I'm not entirely sure of that. And that's one of the reasons I chose to apply to the United States instead of the United Kingdom, because over there you have to hone into one academic major. So in the US, since I don't know exactly what I want to study, I want to explore as many fields as I can. I want to explore different activities, different courses, different studies. And I think in the quarter system, you get to take more courses, which means that you can study and try and pursue as many fields as you want, as opposed to a semester system. And I think that's definitely a shift in culture, which is more exploratory in nature.
So that completely makes sense. So the quarterly system will expose you to more number of courses. That means, let's say that after one quarter semester, if I don't like that course, I can change my major like more quickly as compared to like after spending 4 months, right? So this becomes like less commitment and you learn more, right?
Exactly, 100%.
So now that will be a wrap up. Thank you so much, Shaurya, for sharing your like valuable information. And I hope all of you should subscribe to his channel and ask him for more queries or more things related to Stanford, and he will be adding much more value to our community.
Definitely, I'd love to. Thank you so much more for having me. If any of you have any questions, you can comment on my YouTube channel, comment on any of the videos. I've spoken about my extracurriculars, my essays. I even have a college decisions reaction video where I took everybody through my journey of applying to about 15 colleges, and then making it to Ivy Day, getting rejected and waitlisted at a lot of the Ivies, and then fingers crossed going into Stanford, hoping that it'll work out, and it did, and I'm very grateful for it. And this is my way of trying to give back to every online resource that I used in my application process to college. There's a lot of information out there.
Absolutely.
Go on.